This episode of the Mike on Much podcast is in partnership with Jameson. Good things come in threes. Welcome to the Mike on Much podcast. I'm your host, Mike Veerman. I'm here with my friend and trusted producer, Max Kerman. We are also here in the room with intern Erica on the dials. And unfortunately, not in the room, but joining us on the phone from Hamilton is our pop culture aficionado, good friend, colleague, and very sick boy, Shane Christian Cunningham. Shane, how are you doing right now from Hamilton?
Yeah, I'm pretty good. I'm not that sick anymore.
Oh. Wow, that's good news.
So Lucy gave you some sickness, huh?
No, reverse.
You gave her sickness.
Yeah.
Oh.
You were away this weekend, right? And you caught the flu? Because I've, as our listeners know, Shane and I work together, and I've missed my work buddy, my desk buddy, for the last 2 days.
Well, it all started last Monday where I was having something weird. I called it the stomach flu, although it was kind of reverse because I wasn't shitting or vomiting or anything like that. It's just nothing was happening except extreme discomfort in my tummy. So I didn't know what to call it. So last Monday, I just told my boss that I had stomach flu, even though I had no clue how to diagnose it. And then I kind of felt a little off throughout the week. I went away on the weekend. And then Monday, it was without a doubt the flu. Like classic flu, like chills, fever, sore throat.
Well, we're going to try and make the best of it with you on the phone. These are not ideal, but we'll get through it. We're becoming pros at this because Max is on the road. Before we get into it, though, I just want to say that on this episode, we were talking to Haviah Mighty. Max and I sat down with her. Her album, 13th Floor, is out. She recently won the Polaris Prize. We are going to be, we'll get to that interview in a bit, and we'll set that whole thing up. But before we do that, Max, I feel like you were ready to say something.
Well, I was going to say, when it comes to your upset stomach, does anybody have issues with that, generally speaking, in their life?
Yes.
You do?
Mm-hmm.
Because Lauren, who is, I guess, a medical professional at this point, she's a nurse, she thinks that I have some stomach issues. And she said, I think you're maybe allergic to something that you eat constantly. And so she's been trying to get me to like eliminate certain things from my diet to see if it helps. And she suggested starting with either dairy or starch, or like, I guess, whatever.
Like get pastas and
cheese
pizza, out of your life?
Yeah. And I'm like, I can try, but I'm so bad at keeping track of any of this stuff. And so I tried to cut out dairy for like a week, and I don't know if it made any difference. But I always feel like that's anybody who's trying to eliminate things from their diet in order to improve their general health. It takes so much commitment and note-taking and monitoring that for me, it's an impossible task. I basically gave up after 5 days and said, hey, babe, you're going to have to live with it. I'm sorry. Yeah.
You have to be like an early pioneer and keep like a journal, meaning like I can eat this plant will kill people that are in our grouping, and then you'll know what works for you and what doesn't.
Has Danica ever put you to task on that one, Mike?
No. I'm pretty like, I don't really have a lot of aversions to things. My stomach genuinely feels good.
It feels fine to me too, but Lauren doesn't think it feels fine.
I never get sick. Yeah, I don't know. It's all right. But if I were to, I think I would try to do the trial and error, eliminate stuff from my diet. Like if I ever felt like I was ailing, this is what holistic experts exist for, to help people navigate these things. What do you do for your upset stomach, Erica?
I just suck it up. I don't eat. I would rather not know. I almost feel like don't want to stop eating cheese. I don't want to stop drinking beer. I feel like gluten and dairy are the two biggest culprits, and I would just rather complain about it all day.
Suffer a little bit for the good times.
I think so, yeah.
Hey, Erica, I heard a dirty rumor about you.
Uh-oh. What?
I heard you're producing another podcast. Whoa. Behind our back.
No, not behind your back.
Well, you didn't tell us.
Oh.
Would you care to fess up? Do you care to tell us about your other
Sure.
pod? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's at my other job, MLSC.
That pays you real money, yeah.
Yes. We can talk about that if you want. But, yeah, it's called the Leafs Forever podcast. Mm-hmm. It's Maple Leafs podcast, and it's like a history-based podcast. So
tell us about it. Give it a plug.
I've actually heard that you're doing this, and I think this is very good. All good people over there at MLSC.
Great people.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I'm thrilled for you, obviously.
Okay,
it's very
thank you.
Yeah.
Our second episode went up yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's awesome. It's like a monthly podcast, and I'm an associate producer on it.
So are you going to shower us with praise for teaching you the ropes?
Of course. You guys are absolutely the reason why I got hooked up with that.
Keep
so
going.
Thank you very much. I know you guys.
All the things you've learned from us.
You've taught me everything I know.
Yes,
blah, blah,
thank
blah.
you.
I would like a raise.
Wow. That happened quick. Shaney, what do you think of this news? Did you know that Erica was working on a Toronto Maple Leafs podcast?
I did not, and I don't think it sounds very good, to be honest.
Well, it's very different than this one. So there's
it's
really
just
no.
because I'm not into hockey, though, at all.
That's fine. I don't blame you. But there's really no like even inkling of competition. These are very different things.
Oh, and we welcome it. The more the merrier. Everybody's got a podcast these days anyway.
Exactly.
I am a big fan of Erica, and I was at the Raptors home opener. I was talking to one of your bosses,
Yeah.
and he was singing your praises.
Thank you.
So I was very happy to hear that.
It's very
Yeah,
nice.
I've heard through my brother
Max.
that everyone over there is great. What were you saying,
Yeah.
Shaney?
Oh, sorry. I wanted to talk about Lauren thinking you had a stomach issue for a second.
Sorry,
I don't.
we didn't let you contribute to that. Sorry, we got to.
I don't understand why she thinks that. You don't think you have a stomach issue. Why does she? Are smells coming from weird?
Well, just like
areas,
she'll hear my
the
like
washroom
stomach
or your asshole?
grumbling. You know, just stomach kind of gassy things related sometimes.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're farting around your girlfriend.
Well, but they don't smell. I don't think.
Okay.
Right. So it's more to do with farts and noises than it is toilet smells.
Yeah, I'd say. Yeah, and sometimes I get like you know when you like burp after a meal or something. You know what I mean? Like that kind of kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I just play. Yeah, my dad's kind of like that. The Jewish stomach, they say, this is a real thing. It's a real thing.
Yeah.
I think Jewish men have like a hard time with that stuff.
Okay.
I don't know.
Well, hopefully you feel better.
Uh-huh.
And Shane, I'm glad that you're on the mend. Will you be? Because we're going back to back. We're recording a podcast tomorrow as well. Are you gonna be back in the studio, Shaney, or do you think you need another day?
Yeah. No, I'll be back. Yeah. I was fine at about 2:30 today.
Good. That's exciting news. So, guys, what did we do this weekend? Everybody kind of got up to separate things. Were you out of town, Max?
I was in Halifax.
You were in Halifax. I did know that. Erica, were you in town, or were you back?
No, I visited my parents. They had their annual Raging Halloween party.
Waterloo. Mm-hmm. Exciting times.
Yep.
So you're with the Lou crew.
Yep.
What did you go as?
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Oh yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, I had a bald cap, but I thought it was going to look way better than it was. It was like a $5 bald cap.
Did people think you looked like a real stunner?
Yes. Yeah.
Did anybody get that reference?
I think kind of. Yeah.
Stone Cold Stunner.
He used to have a move. Yeah, you know what's up.
I did my research. Yeah.
Yeah, good stuff. Shaney, have you done any Halloween stuff yet with Lou?
Jeez. No, we just dressed her up as Mr. Clean, but that was pretty much it.
I knew this.
Speaking
yes.
of bald heads,
That was an awesome costume. That was on our social media too. That was a great costume. So on the actual day, will you run it back, that outfit?
No, I think something else is going on. Alex does all this because I don't really interact with Lou that often throughout the week. So.
That's not true. I like the way you say that.
No, Matt, who said it's not true?
Me, Max.
Oh, Max, you don't know shit because it is true. Because I don't see her in the day and I don't see her at night, so I never interact with her throughout the week, like not even for 1 minute.
Oh.
So it's 100% true. There's zero interaction between me and my daughter throughout the week.
Well, iPhone cameras are good now, so at least you get to see photos.
Yeah, FaceTime. I do FaceTime once a day.
There you go.
Yeah, you know more than I thought, Max.
Shaney, you were
All of our listeners are just very depressed for you.
I know.
Right now.
They're like,
really,
Max-
way to bring down the pod.
Max has stomach issues. Shane's an absentee father. Erica's running around like Stone Cold.
No, but when I'm there, I'm there. On the weekends, I'm there 100% of the time.
You're Mr. Dad on the weekends. It's true. We never, honestly, Shane, you will not see on the weekends because he's with his kid.
Do you remember when, Let's Get Ready to Suck It became a very big thing in the 90s? Do you remember that? No. Wasn't that? I never was a big wrestling fan.
I loved doing the suck it symbol where you cross your arms. I used to do that all the time. It was hilarious.
That's a
my God.
wrestling thing?
I know it. Yeah, that's from wrestling.
Isn't that a thing that the announcers go, let's get ready to suck it?
No, it's Rumble. Let's get ready to Rumble.
No, but I thought
He's saying it was a take on that when Suck It
It was
became
a play
popular.
on Let's Get Ready to Rumble.
But did they actually do that in the events on TV? Or did I just do that with my friends?
They probably did. They worked it in as much as possible for like a year-long period.
I just remember I was a pretty well-behaved kid, but I just had this one memory of being at baseball camp when I was 10, and this was very popular. And I just remember being a little hooligan with my 4 or 5 other friends running around like crazy people. We were probably high on sugar, just giving the suck it sign to everybody we saw. And it was literally the most cathartic thing for a 10-year-old to do. Just it just brought us so much joy. Just running around and be like, suck it! And you had no concept of what that actually means.
Yeah,
You
no.
don't actually think about what you're actually saying. It just you just knew it was kind of naughty, and it was very fun.
You know,
Well, I kind of knew what it meant, but you don't actually expect anyone to give you oral sex afterwards. You're just like,
it's not really a request.
Yeah.
It's more of a statement.
It's a lifestyle.
It's a lifestyle. Let's get ready. You just got me thinking because you're playing in Banff this weekend, and you were looking for costume ideas. All of you should have gone as different wrestlers. You could have come out as a Hulkster. Someone could have been Macho Man. Someone could have been Steve Austin. But wrestlers are kind of flamboyant, so maybe you would have just looked like an 80s hair metal band.
Yeah,
People
which
could
also
have
would
got
have been kind of
confused.
funny too.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going back to Wild Bills where we played together.
I remember back in my band days, we did a gig at Wild Bills.
Yeah, I think like Mike D in our band like looks back on that night as one of his like most drunken on the road band nights was with you guys.
No, that's
that
what-
night in band.
that was our value added to touring. They were always like, they're such a fun band to tour with.
They were.
Yeah,
you guys were.
We were a fun band. Yeah. So
What did you get up to this weekend?
what did I do this weekend? Like Shane said, that's usually family time, especially during the day. But couple things. Friday night, I went and saw that movie Parasite with your good childhood friend
Matt Fruckman.
Matt Fruckman.
Book Club Maddie.
Book Club Maddie from the song Book Club, which is, I think, my favorite Arkells song. I think I've said this on this podcast before. So we saw that movie Parasite, which I would recommend. It is a awesome movie. I'd also recommend don't read anything about it. Just go and see it and let it sort of unfold in front of you. And it's a pretty cool Korean film. I'll say that, and that's all I'll say. But because I have Winona, I have to wait till she goes to sleep. So it's got to be the late show.
Yeah.
But then even going to a late show, it's like at 10 o'clock, then it's like midnight, then me and Maddie want to chat for a bit. Then it's like, oh, right, we got to get up the next day because the baby's not waiting. She gets up at 6:37. So, and then Saturday night, all the Hamilton guys were in town, all the Champagne
Oh
boys.
yeah, for a Taking Back Sunday concert.
They all went to the emo show, Taking Back Sunday. I think they were at Danforth. I'm not sure. But there was no way in hell I was going to that show. Not my scene. And the Raps were playing the Bulls, so I was like, I'm going to hang in. Me and Dan can put the baby to bed. But if you guys are around, it's a Saturday night. If you're getting a drink after, like in my hood, I'm like, I'll definitely come up for a pint. Because like Julian was out, Dawson, Jug, all the guys, Felix. And yeah, so I went and met them. Ended up being a really fun hang. What are you doing? You're looking at your phone.
I'm looking at something that you sent me actually, which we laughed about. Was just speaking of punk music and how you don't have much of a tolerance for it. I don't really have a huge tolerance for. I mean, there's some punk music that I do really quite enjoy, but there's a lot of it which is just not totally my thing. And
I don't mind certain parts of punk. It's screamo that's not my thing. But go on.
Totally. And I don't even know Taking Back Sunday's music well enough to even say if this applies to it.
Yeah, they're not really screamo. They're emo. But go on.
But you sent me a George Harrison interview from 1978.
Yes, I did.
And-
Which shows you where my musical
Yes,
tastes are
sounds
at.
like something you do.
Can you explain like the general vibe of it?
I was looking at.
And why
Sometimes
you
I like
liked
to
it?
go back and read like old interviews from like Rolling Stone from over the decades because you'll get like you'll find a cool gem like a Bowie interview from like 1980 or something. So I found this George Harrison feature from '78 where he had been sort of out of the spotlight for a few years. So he gave them like this a lot of time and a really candid interview because he was promoting a new record. But it was so candid. Like he went into how the Beatles were suing each other. He went into like creative differences between the Beatles, and it was just very honest. And
also like in like I don't give a fucksville.
I don't give a shit.
I'm in the fucking Beatles.
Yeah.
I was in the Beatles.
I
and
was 27 years old when the Beatles broke up. What more is there for me to accomplish?
Yeah.
You know? So it's just very honest and cool.
And so they asked him, "Do you like the music that?" I'll just read you a little bit of this interview that relates to this conversation. Do you like the music Paul's making now? And he goes, "I think it's inoffensive. I've always preferred Paul's good melodies to his screaming rock and roll tunes. The tune I thought was sensational in London Town was I'm Caring, but all that noisy, beady things I'm not into at all. But then that's not all. Only with Paul's music, that goes right across the board. I'm not a fan of that sort of punky, heavy, tinny stuff. I like a nice melody." And then they're like, the Beatles could turn out their fair rock and roll in their day. And he goes, "Yeah, we could do all that. But as far as something as I'm listening to, I'd rather hear someone like Little Richard or Larry Williams. I'd personally rather hear 3 notes hit really sweet than hear a whole lot of notes from some guitar player whose ears are so blown out he can't hear the difference between a flat and a sharp." Just like throwing shade. And then,
Paul McCartney?
No,
This is just the music of the day.
The music of the day.
More hard stuff.
And then he takes another shot at Paul, which is fucking hilarious.
I love this quote.
Oh yeah, so he's like, "It seems as if Paul was the Beatle with you're the least compatible musically. You've gone on record as saying you wouldn't play with him again." And he goes, yeah, well, now we don't have any problems whatsoever as far as being people is concerned. And it's quite nice to see him. But I don't know about being in a band with him, how that would work out. It's like we all have our own tunes to do. And my problem was that it would always be very difficult to get in on the act because Paul was very pushy in that respect. When he succumbed to playing one of your tunes, he'd always do good. But you'd have to do 59 of Paul's songs before he'd even listen to one of yours. So in that respect, it would be very difficult ever to play with him. But, we're cool as far as being pals go. It's just so funny. I don't know.
It's a great interview.
Yeah, great interview. Recommend it.
So for me, my weekend, this is what you need to take away.
Sorry.
Go see the movie Parasite and look up the interview with George Harrison, 1978, Rolling Stone feature. It's worth your time. Shane, you went to PEC this weekend.
Yes, we did. I went on a bit of a pregnancy mission, I guess, because well, Alex had a miscarriage, so she kind of wanted me to pop another one in there as soon as possible.
Yeah.
So the goal was to have like a kind of a fun weekend where we went and we did just that. So it kind of backfired though, because what happened was we just end up drinking very early. Nick Kroll actually does a stand-up routine about this, how when parents get like a night off, they go too hard too early. And long story short, we didn't even end up making out. We just got very drunk and passed out at 10:30. So,
hey, for our listeners, by the way, if Shane is sounding at all like flippant about this, sort of maybe a sensitive issue, you can listen to this Family Trees podcast where they actually get into that experience in more detail and subtlety and sensitivity. So that's just
Yeah, I think.
Yeah. I didn't know much more to say about it than what I said.
No, it's totally fine. So you didn't even make out.
Is the term pop another one back in there? Is that what's offending you, Max, or do you think?
I'm not offended.
I think it was the swift turn after, because some of our listeners, they might not know this.
Yeah, so you're like, miscarriage, had to pop one back in, or it's like you're talking like I don't know.
Oh, there was supposed to be like a big pause and then saying, "But we're trying again."
I don't know. I guess you got to do you.
All right. Yeah. Okay.
It doesn't offend me whatsoever. I'm just,
And obviously, we all know the news. We've talked about this now for a while. Like, I guess Max is thinking about it from their point of view. If the last thing they heard was that you guys were pregnant a couple podcasts ago, this might be the first time they're hearing that news. So it might be a jarring turnaround. I don't know.
Shane, I didn't even talk to you about this personally on the side. I guess I should have sent you a note. Do you?
No.
Do you care?
No.
I didn't think you'd care to hear from me. I mean, maybe I should have anyway.
Just in general, yeah, that's a true thing.
Come on.
Unless you have a Raptors ring or a hat or something, I don't really care.
Hey, I do have a T-shirt for you, though. I got you a T-shirt.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
I don't know about that ring. What happened there?
The ring's like sitting in Manager Ash's office. I don't know.
Oh, okay. No, I kid, but thank you. No, I appreciate it.
You know what? I would like contemplate giving you the ring if you really wanted the ring, but I would be very pissed off if you end up selling the ring and getting a lot of money.
No, I would not sell the ring, and I want you to have the ring.
Okay.
Cool. Oh, that's really nice of you, Shane. It's like Shane gave you a ring. See how Shane did that?
Really generous guy.
I want you to have the ring, Max. It's like, well, it's mine. Yeah. All right. Well, I was in Halifax this weekend.
Yes. Let's get to Max's weekend. You probably had the most interesting weekend. I mean, you were in a very successful touring band. You're playing arenas and shit.
Yeah, it was good. It was really fun. It was our first sort of show of the Canadian leg of the Rally Cry tour, the second leg of the tour, and hadn't been to Halifax in a while.
Great town. When our band used to tour, we've been across Canada a few times, West Coast, East Coast, all of it. Halifax was one of my absolute fave cities.
Yeah, so it was fun, and to pull back the curtain a little bit, the first night of the tour, you're working on some new bits, and you're hoping they land okay. So I had this conga line thing, which I've done before, but not in that size of a space.
Yeah.
So you don't know exactly how it'll go. You kind of just hope people, follow the conga line, and you get back to the stage on time, and that worked out very good. There was another there's a moment that we're trying to do and then some. So if you're coming to the shows, act surprised when you hear about it. But basically, we've gotten so many emails about and then some being people's first dance at their wedding, and it's really flattering. And we wish we could come to all these weddings because we get invited to many. So I'm going to sing part of the song in the crowd, kind of at the back of the floor where there's room for people to slow dance around me, and we have a microphone set up there. But basically what ends up happening is that everybody just leaves their seats and just comes down to the general admission, and the security guards can't do anything about it. And so it kind of turns into like a bit of a free-for-all, and no one's actually dancing with each other. They're just sort of hovering on top of me. So it didn't quite work. But I think there's got to be a way to troubleshoot that.
Yeah. More security.
More security, yeah. Or like maybe, you get like a velvet rope where you have to sort of be let in by a bouncer, like into this like special dance floor
an
space.
actual bouncer. Hire like an actor that looks the part.
Yeah,
you can make it a whole thing.
Yeah, I'd be like, you have to show your ID or something, your wedding license or something.
Yeah.
The other thing, which is I thought was kind of funny, was I was just walking around Halifax with manager Ash, kind of going through the set and just talking things through, because that's what we like to do. And I was like talking about, I was like, oh, is there a way to sort of like update sort of like the introduction thing that I like to say during Michigan Left? And this is something that you and I have workshopped, and it's at a place that I feel really good about. It kind of sets the tone of the night. Like we talk about like what the show is about, how we ought to treat each other, what we really encourage singing, dancing, set the tone, all that stuff. So then I was like, all right, I was thinking of this other thing. Maybe I add to it. I was just thinking about saying something that's like, everybody out there, this is like a rock and roll is community fair. This is like a potluck dinner. Now, Arkells are going to provide the main course, but who's bringing the appetizers? Who's bringing the dessert? Who's going to get the dance floor started? What's going on? And then Ash just goes, you kind of sound like a parody of yourself right now.
I was just going to say, you did not run that copy, Mikey.
No, I didn't. She was like, Max, like that sounds like somebody making fun of you. And then I was like, all right, fair enough. I won't use that one.
Yeah. I was like, wait a second. What? I didn't hear this one. Pass on that one.
Yeah, so we passed on that one. But anyway, the show was fucking awesome. And
it looked awesome.
Yeah.
Everything on social media looked
great.
Well, here's the thing. People in Halifax want to have a good time.
They do. Last time we played in Halifax, it was the middle of February, and it was a brutal winter storm. Like the New Brunswick show got canceled, and we barely got to Halifax, and we barely got out of Halifax too. It was, during the show, it started to snow, and the bus couldn't leave for another 4 hours. And this time it was a beautiful day. The turnout was like double. It was really good. Yeah.
Amazing.
But anyway, maybe this segues into our interview with Haviah Mighty, because she was on the show.
That's perfect. So you played this weekend with Haviah Mighty.
Yeah, and this is we've been fans of hers for a long time. She just won the Polaris Prize, as you mentioned. Mother was also on the bill. Old friends of ours, amazing band.
Former podcasts. It
was really awesome to hang out with them. They're just such good people, and we were blown away watching them perform. But the first of three on these shows is usually kind of designated for an up-and-coming act, and it's a tough. When you're a younger band that's used to playing clubs, and we've been in this position before, it's a tough show because working the stage and arena is actually a tough thing to do. You guys did it. It's like it's a unique skill set that you can only kind of acquire by doing it a bunch.
Yep.
Anyway, all to say, Haviah came on stage. I don't think she'd ever done a show that big before, but she fucking was incredible. Like, she just owned the whole thing. She was like relentless in her like conviction to her performance, because and we talked about it afterwards. She's like, they can smell it on you if you're fearful out there.
Oh yeah.
And so you have to be just like keep pummeling them with whatever your best version of your energy is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what she did, and she was very, very impressive. It was really fun to play with her.
Yeah, like we said, her album 13th Floor, it won the Polaris Music Prize, which is a very big deal. She did a performance. We talked about this in the interview with choreographed dance. She had a band. She hadn't performed like that before. And it was an interesting conversation for a few reasons, but it was cool because I feel like this was one that like you and manager Ash like personally were like, let's have this conversation because you guys are into sort of what she's doing right now.
Yeah, totally. And like for those that are unfamiliar with the Polaris Prize, it is a music prize that is given to the best record of the year, and it's voted on by people that are music journalists and other members of the music community. But there's like a bunch of jury members, and the list goes from 40 down to 10, and then they announce the winner at an award show. And it's usually for like it's a little more like kind of critically acclaimed arty records. Like, they're not worried about like what's the most popular thing of the day or what's being necessarily pushed by labels. It's really like it's based on the Mercury Prize out of the UK, where it's supposed to be like a real music person's prize.
Yeah.
And she won it.
Your friend won last year, right?
Jeremy Dutcher.
Jeremy, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Cool.
So here's what we're gonna do. This episode's a little bit more like an old school Mike and Much episode, where we're gonna go to this interview with Haviah, and then after that, we're coming back to do kind of like I don't know if it's gonna be a dessert per se, but we're gonna be talking about Kanye West with Shane Cunningham and the rest of us here in the room. So stick around. But in the meantime, check out this conversation with Haviah Mighty, Max, and myself. Want to get to it?
Let's do it.
So you guys were pod foddering. You guys
Yeah,
were doing
well, we're
that
playing
thing,
together in a couple days.
which
in
is
Halifax.
exciting. Yeah.
So I'm glad we could do that together because we've been following you on Arkells has been following you on Instagram for like a while, and manager Ash, she's been like praising you to me for like a very long time.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah. So and you're playing so we're both gonna be in Halifax this weekend.
Yeah.
Yes.
And you already have a club show, right? That night, are you doing a doubleheader?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Doubleheader.
I was looking at their manager.
That's a cool term. That's a cool term. Like, yeah.
Let's play two.
I knew we were playing two, but I was like, I had to think of if it was like doubleheader, you know?
Yeah, back to back.
But it is. It's cool. It's cool.
Yeah. And
Exciting, challenging.
yeah, it's gonna be awesome. We're so excited to have you on the show. But you're wearing a Long McQuaid jacket, and I heard that there's another connection with Arkells. Have you heard about this?
I think I might know, even though I don't. I think I just know what you're talking about.
So Tim, our drummer, his in-laws,
Yeah.
Sarah Robson's parents work at Long McQuaid, and you
Yeah.
work at Long McQuaid.
Yeah, I know Anne very, very,
That's
very,
so
very
funny.
well.
So how long how have you known them for?
Like 4 years. I worked there for like 4 years.
Oh, crazy.
It's just an aesthetic choice. Like I don't work there anymore.
just a
It's
cool
sick jacket.
bomber.
No,
It's a sick bomber,
I kind of
right?
want one too. Maybe Tim's in-laws can
They
hook
need
us
to
up.
go. Yeah, no, they
You
need
can
to go
sort
to
it out.
another business with this jacket. But yeah, no, like yeah, I
And they're
haven't
Brampton
spoken to
too,
Anne
as well.
yet, but I work at the Brampton location.
But and Tim's in-laws are from Brampton too. So,
oh, see, yeah, okay, that's cool.
yeah. I was like, oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Small world.
Yeah, I like that we're going back and starting this sort of like this job at Long McQuaid, because I kind of wanted to start at the start, because I read that you come from a musical home. So we wanted to know, like,
Yeah.
what are your parents like? You know, what do they do?
Well, my mom works in the hospital field. And she's like a big boss in that world. So she does big things and lots of tough things to even hear about. So, you know, I really respect her. And then my dad, he's just all things hands-on, but he drives a truck and has his own business with that. And, yeah, they're just so dope, both of them. But they're so supportive of their children who are all really musical. So, like me, I have 3 sisters, and they all play the piano. And we all used to sing together as the Mighty family. And my little brother now, he's 18, but he produces. So, like, we all kind of just have a love for music and just do it in our spare time.
Oh, is Mighty your actual last name?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought that was just a sick stage name.
Oh, no.
I thought
A lot of
Haviah
people-
Mighty was like, yo, when I first heard your name, I was like, that's the coolest fucking name. Great job on like whoever brainstormed that one. So that's your name.
Yeah.
Oh, that's an amazing last name,
government,
Mighty.
Yeah.
It's on the government ID.
It's
yeah.
like,
so
yeah,
fierce.
I can't run from it.
Oh, that's cool.
It was an easy choice.
Yeah,
One of
yeah.
the easiest titles to come up with
Yeah, yeah.
was the name. But, yeah, so, like, we, like, played as the Mighty family as, like, young people.
So like, do your parents, like, do they play? Were they like let's do this, let's make this band? Like, where does the music sort of come from?
I think they're just musical. They're lovers of music and just
fans.
Like, understand the importance of having musicality, I think. And they saw that in their first child, my oldest sister, and I think that that's what like led them to like put her in something that she excelled in, and then it just like was like logical for all the other kids who were expressing in similar ways.
Yeah.
You know, like they themselves are not musicians, but they're avid supporters, lovers, and like creatives in their own right too, you know? But more so in the kids, you see like the creative aspect of music coming out. So like piano players, we all sing. My brother produces, he's crazy. And yeah, and then like me and what I do. So I know it comes from the youth. It comes kind of natural, like literally like singing. I took singing lessons, and so like performing and being adjudicated and all that sort of stuff is like the early beginning.
What cover songs did you do in the early days?
Mostly Disney.
Disney?
Oh, nice.
Disney, Broadway, like all that sort of stuff.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, that was like the wave. So like,
Is there any original
musicals.
video of this stuff with you and your siblings?
There's like VCR footage somewhere.
Oh, nice. I just went to go see Tegan and Sarah on the weekend.
Yeah?
And they just put out this memoir about their high school days, and there's a lot of awesome like VHS footage of them like performing
That's
in high
so
school.
cool.
It was like It's amazing. Also super cringy. Like if I were them, I could never do it because I can't look at like a picture from 2 weeks ago. So, but I admire them. They were really putting all that.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Max was mentioning you might be doing a double header in Halifax, which, doing lots of shows, it's a big, I think it takes a strong work ethic, and it seems like you have like this strong sort of ethos. 2 questions. Where do you think that comes from? Is that something that I guess this is more general. Do you think that a work ethic is learned or it's inherent? Do you think you have it within you, or do you think it's something that you can develop?
Yeah, that's a good one. I think, for me, I think it's a combination of the two. So I think like it depends on who you are and like what comes out. But for me, I think, being the regimen of like rehearsing like came really early because I had to. Like it came with the lessons of singing, and like the growth is like, I mean, my parents were just like, they had me rehearsing, so like I just learned to do it. And then I think, I learned to do it and apply it to things I actually care about, and like not as much the things I don't care about. And like I very much care about my live performance, so like just spending a lot of time like making sure that that moment is like right and like tailored to like the audience. Like I find I spend less time building it now because there's certain things that I've built that are repeated, like rehearsing lyrics and getting good at doing that live comes faster.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
I do, yeah.
But when you're working in like hardware, for example, or anything like that, that's like a new thing. Like you have to figure out those new things. So like I feel like I try to challenge myself and switch that thing up a lot, and like make it as challenging as it like I know I can possibly handle, but also like something that's different for the audience. It's different than the listening experience of the album. Like they want the show experience to be something that like you can only really experience one time.
Sure,
like,
otherwise you could sit at home and listen to the record.
Yeah, like what is the why should you come out of your house? I want people to tell their friends to come to my live show, and but I have to give them a reason to say that, or
beyond
to feel,
just seeing you.
Yeah,
because for some people that's the thing. It's like, oh, I get to see that person that I listen to. There they are. There's that person.
Yeah, and you can work and strive to achieve that too.
Yep.
Like that's cool. Like, and I think that comes with it. The more you move towards your craft and the more people receive it well. If that comes with it, that's cool. But like that's not really what I'm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like seeking. So like, yeah, but I feel like hard work. It's easy to do when you really, really care about the thing and you care about the resolution of it, the resolve of it. Like I just care a lot about what the live show looks like, so I feel like I have to put the time in to like make it look good, and that just I don't know, maybe that is somewhat within, but I also feel like the things I saw early growing up like demanded that of me too. So like if I was able to like kind of get away with like not rehearsing, like I don't know, like maybe it would translate different to me now. Maybe I would have a different work ethic. So it's hard to say with my circumstance because I can really only see it from my circumstance. But
are you playing with a DJ in a band, or how are you doing?
I'm playing with a DJ, and I like utilize a vocal pedal.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, but like
Go on.
That's what my normal set is like.
Mm-hmm. You did at Polaris. You did it with a band.
At Polaris, right? I did it with a DJ and a band.
And a band. Yeah. How's that?
That was sick.
Yeah.
Well, this is what I was going to say was with the Polaris performance, it's like you have the band, you have a choreographed dance that's going on.
Yeah.
It's sort of like,
Very jealous of. Shelby, I get some contact information after the interview about that.
I got you.
which feels like, I was wondering, is that sort of like an evolution of where you want to go as a performer, or was that more of like this is a one-time special thing?
I think it's a little bit of both. Like, it was a one-time special thing, and like I hope to do many one-time special things until I can afford to make every show a one-time special thing.
Sure,
right?
sure.
I mean, like I said, like you try to tailor for every show, so
Yeah.
you know what you're working with. I try to make every show special. But yes, when you have the ability to do what I was able to do with the Polaris, like the ability to just get a little bit of budget, pull in people for it, and like allocate money for it and make it make sense.
Yeah.
In a way where like it might not make sense for like a random show in a random city, because a lot of them might be considered that, and they're all dope, special, amazing shows. But how do you justify like the cost of the flights for all of the dancers?
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a lot.
The practicality
right?
of
The
it sometimes takes away from the creative.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah.
And then you make the most of whatever the situation is. That's how our band's always operated. It's like, all right, well, if we're just going in with just the 5 of us, we'll make it special for that reason. And then if we can bring the horn section, that'll be a different thing. Or if it's an acoustic show, it's a different thing. So but what I love about your Instagram story is that it's like, it's fearless, and I feel like every artist should just like watch it, because you don't give a fuck about like the size of the crowd, where it's at. You're just like, I'm gonna fucking slap all you around right now, and we're gonna have a good time together. And it's really inspiring, because I feel like there is a mental hurdle with any artist that goes out on tour, is that it's like, and we've had to go through it as well. It's like, not every show is gonna be the biggest show of your fucking life, but how do you make the most out of the smaller opportunities? And as fun, I was talking to Mike, our guitarist, the other day, and we played some like shitty show in Long Island. It was like a beer festival, and it was like one of those shows where it's like, why the fuck are we here? Like, what are we doing? But then that was like maybe a year and a half ago. And then we played in Brooklyn last week, and someone was like, I never heard of you guys, but I saw you guys play this beer thing in Long Island, and you blew me away. You're my favorite band. I was like, all right, it was fucking worth it. I'm glad we tried our hardest. I'm glad we did our best.
Just for that one person.
Yeah, just because, all right, we got a couple that night. And so
that's great.
And I feel like watching your Instagram story, it's like you are, whether or not it feels like the best in the moment, like there are people that are walking away going like, oh, fuck, Haviah Mighty. Shit. You know what I mean? And I think that's the only way for like any artist to think about it. Otherwise, like it's very easy to get discouraged.
Yeah, I think so. I think like touring, I think, is a big part of what a lot of musicians like trajectory will look like. And like, not everything looks the same. Like, some people won't tour. Like, some people are streaming artists, and it is what it is. But you know, for me, I love the art of the live performance aspect. It's been a part of my early beginnings, as you know, as far back as it goes. Yeah. And I've learned to love aspects of it. And there's like tough parts about it, like that you have to learn to love, like the anxious part, like right before you play, and like you know, maybe I don't love that, but there's like, I love being on stage. So it's less like that when it translates, like that love, it translates to the audience, and then it resonates into whatever it does to them, and then they can like, you get the opportunity to speak to a few people, and they can tell you what it meant. Like, that's dope. It's like validating, and sometimes it's just like the reason, like beyond like being able to sustain yourself off of it, that you do it.
You mentioned this sort of the nervousness sometimes before just going on stage. Because the Polaris was a more unique performance with a band, with dancers. What was your mindset going into that?
I feel like I almost puked.
Really? Yeah, okay.
Like, almost. Like, maybe I did a little bit. No, I don't know. I was nervous. I was very nervous. It was like the first time that I was performing original music with a band, that I was really critical of like what the performance would be like, in a way where like I've done like one-off songs with like people that are elements of a band that are not necessarily my band, and like it's one song and you're not playing to the track, so you don't even necessarily feel the waver of tempo and stuff like that. But with this, it was like clicked out. We did a few rehearsals. We didn't have a lot of time to really, you know, ensure that it was exactly what we wanted. But like, we did have enough time to like map it out and run it. And so a little bit nerve-wracking to know that I'm putting that trust in other people for such a big moment. And then the trust I have to put in myself for that big moment. And, you know, just like blocking and spacing, and like, you know, you had a quick rehearsal on the stage. It was very quick. You don't really have time to really do all of that. We learned while on stage, certain moves didn't work. Certain things had to be amalgamated. And then, you don't get a chance to even run that change. Tomorrow, you're just doing it.
Gotta have faith.
Yeah, and so there was a lot of like, just gotta have faith going into that. And like, the moment itself was nerve-wracking just because of like who's in the room. And the point is, I didn't really know who's in the room. I just know there's supposed to be a lot of who's in the rooms, you know. And like, that's enough to make me feel what I was feeling. But yeah, once I got into the performance, it was cool. Like, I knew it felt like an important moment, and I wanted to perform big, you know. And I feel like we were able to do that. And I learned some things from that performance too, that maybe I would change when I get another opportunity to do like another big performance where I can pull in more elements. And I can't wait to do that again. But like, it was great. It was like a really exhilarating experience. The performance was as much of a win to me as the win was. I don't know. Like, that for me was like wow, like we could do that. Like, that was the biggest performance I've ever built. And I had a lot of help, and everybody helped in such an incredible, amazing way. And like, like I want to do that again. It's a different type of artistry. Like, it's not just building a song anymore. And it was really cool to like kind of have to take the lead on it, but being able to do it and then bring other people in who could like help me bring it to the finish line, you know.
One of the things we want to talk about is you talk about race and sexuality in a really progressive way, but it's always fascinating because how do you reconcile maybe elements of the hip hop community that don't necessarily align with those values or your values? Wow,
that's a great question. Newer and even some older hip hop is different than the themes that I'm talking about specifically on, I'd say, like the genderism maybe and sexuality a bit, yeah, for sure. I think the being black concept is a theme that, you know, has been in hip hop for a bit, and the trauma that comes with that. So I feel like there's parallels in that way, but yeah, I think in the gender realm there are differences. But yeah, I don't know. I approach a record with whatever's in my head at the moment. I try to like learn and absorb from people that I have conversations with, and if there's something monumental or something that I just keep remembering, like when I go into like writing process, like I'll stumble back on that idea, or I'll take notes on my phone and try to like revisit those ideas. And for me, the things that are important are the things that I've channeled to be able to like do what I'm doing right now. So like realizing my strength, realizing my power, and realizing my own beauty is something that for me has made it easier to make music. And so like I just try to put that same, you know, champion approach that I try to have for myself for the listener. So like for some people it's just not gonna be their cup of tea. Like there's elements of hip hop that are more just fun and in new age culture hip hop, and it's just fun elements, and sometimes it's like you don't always really need to even be able to make out the lyrics for the record to be dope. And I get it. Like I listen to music like that too. Like I understand it. I just don't make that. It would be inauthentic coming from me anyway. So it's like not difficult to approach writing the way that I do. And I also feel like my era was like just before this newer age era, like right before. So I feel like I got into hip hop in a time where it still kind of felt like what we look at as early hip hop. So like I came in with battle rap elements. Like that's how I started. So my flow has that vernacular to it. Like I care about the syllables and the wordplay and metaphor usage and that sort of stuff. And like, so when you hear new rappers that like do that, like they stand out. Like YBN Cordae is one of those new rappers, and I'm hearing his name so much. And when I listen to his flow, it's like,
it's a classic thing.
He has this classic element to his flow. Anderson .Paak, classic flow.
Yeah. That R&B song is so good.
It's so
and the classic beat too. Like it feels like
Dre
a little
dope.
bit. Yeah.
And those things, they really, you just notice that they stand out. And like, so like I feel like I'm listening to this pool of like new music, and you're hearing elements from the old, but you're also hearing elements of new, and you're hearing sing, rap, and all of it. And I feel like there's something to appreciate from all of it.
Yeah.
And then my sound is just an amalgamation of what I've intook and what I've, you know, remembered from my early years. And it's just like I really don't have that much control over it other than the refinement of it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of other artists, is there anyone that you sort of have looked at and said, I like the way that they do it? Someone in particular where you go, I kind of want to model sort of it, whether it's career path or even style after, you know what I mean? Because you listen, I'm sure Mac could name 3 people that he's gone like, I like what they do.
Yeah, or is there an amalgamation of like, I like this and that, like,
because all creative people sort of pull from sort of what they learn, what they come up with. Is there anyone that you're like, I like the way that's done, and that's what I'm going to pull from as I go forward, or do you try to stay wholly sort of untouched and just sort of?
I think I like elements of different things people have done, but I try not to follow, and I don't know that anybody's whole path would ever even like make sense for me. So. But I do like individual things that people have done. Like I think about the artists that are also entrepreneurs, and they have clothing lines, and they have investments and other things.
Are you excited for the new Kanye record? It's tomorrow,
yeah,
right? He says it's tomorrow, but
is that what I knew it was like sort of coming, but like tomorrow,
I think the record.
Is it like the gospel record?
Yeah, Jesus
I only
is
sort of kind of know about it, but I'm always kind of excited for, even if I don't want to be, like I'm always kind of excited for Kanye's creativity.
Yeah.
So yeah, if it's coming tomorrow, I'll be I have a flight, so hopefully I can can get that before I take off. But I don't know what to expect. I haven't really paid attention to.
But he's an
stuff.
entrepreneur, and he's an ambitious guy when it comes to live
Like,
performances.
Yeah. He also even the way that he challenges creativity, I'm inspired by that too. Like for sure, I listened to a lot of Kanye when I was younger. But yeah, so people that think outside of the box in different realms. So any realm that I sort of notice I'm having an interest in, like. If for 1 week I'm like really into the idea of learning a new language and I talk to someone that knows 5, I'm like, and I'll be so convinced that I'm gonna learn. Like, and I'm still convinced.
What do you got so far? You got English?
Yeah, I got English. I got English.
The end of the list.
That's it. I want to learn something for sure. But yeah, there's people that are taking that entrepreneurial approach, which I think for me is really cool. Mind expansion. Financial expansion, opportunity expansion. It's like a great thing to delve into if you can do it in a way you can like support your other goals, like doing things that are not necessarily music based, but using your music path as the support system for this other endeavor. It could be anything. Like you could do an investment in a recreation center for a month in a certain area or whatever. Like it could be anything if you have the means with which to make it happen. But and I feel like the closest I've ever been to having the means to an end is through music, so I would utilize that, and they go together. Like my music is intended to do the same thing that many of these initiatives intent is. It might be for different groups at different times, but like you have the same goal as these people you can collaborate with, or ideas you can create on your own and bring other people in, and whatever it is. But then, like, also within the creative element, like directing a music video, or I'm very interested in a lot of different sides of things. I don't know where things are going to take me because of that.
Yeah.
I do know that I have, like, a priority in, seeing through being Haviah Mighty and being a musician and creating original music that matters to me and hopefully matters to others. And that is, like, my pinnacle right now. That's, like, where the priority goes. But other endeavors to support that or support others and other initiatives, I'm always looking into what that world will look like too. So
as we wrap up, I was going to ask what you think about the Canadian hip-hop scene. What parts excite you and what parts do you find frustrating maybe?
I think it's exciting that there's a bit more of a spotlight on the Canadian hip-hop scene right now, and even outside of hip-hop. Like, we're hearing names of cities being dropped in interviewers that like we turn to, that pop up on our YouTube and stuff like that. And it's just pointing a spotlight to the artists that are from here and creating a foundation for them to have a sustainable career, which is incredible. I feel like it's a bit late. I feel like there's other musicians who've left incredible marks on the city and done incredible things, but maybe weren't able to cut through at a time when the climate didn't invite that as much, I guess. And I feel like I don't know. Being in it is so different from like just looking at it. I feel like my album 13th Floor was the first hip hop album to win a Polaris.
Yeah, congrats.
So thank you so much. But it like makes you think two things, like wow, about time, but then also like wow, about time. Like so like you could say that same statement in a different tone and it could mean a completely different thing. So it depends on who's looking at it. For me, having been the person who won, it's like wow, about time, because it's like I'm a part of that shift. And for somebody else, it might be like, man, I've been waiting for this. Like, this is too late. Like,
yep.
Who's your favorite Canadian rapper?
Oh, I don't know. Like, it's probably me.
Okay, after you can't include yourself.
That's a great answer.
Favorite Canadian. I don't know if I have a favorite rapper, period. So,
all right, name a couple that jump to mind.
Claremont II. Mm-hmm. I love him. He's sick. He's dope. Sean Leon. I like them both. They're both on my album.
Yeah.
Right now, I'm trying to listen to more. There's a bunch of names on my Spotify. I don't know that I love them, but there's like they have like dope records, or I'm learning.
We can just say Haviah Mighty. That's fine.
Haviah Mighty's she's pretty dope.
I know, that's a great answer. Yeah.
She's pretty dope. The girls in the sorority, those girls are pretty dope too.
Yeah.
That's right.
How'd that happen, by the way?
Joining them?
Yeah. How'd that all come together?
Through a cypher that we did, and then it was just like there was a lot of demand for those girls that were in the cypher, and then it turned into a rap crew.
Yeah.
It's cool.
Do you like collaboration more than being solo, or do you prefer to sort of do your own thing?
I like both. I think I'm a bit of a control freak.
Sure.
So, when it comes to like how much I'll feel gratified at the end, I think when I have more control over it, I'll naturally feel more not control, but it kind of is control in a way. Like just spearheading the image or the vision. So like you're super passionate about it. Like when I'm working with the sorority, I'm working on something that we're all passionate about, and I'm sure that there are topics that we're all very passionate about, but a lot of things on 13th Floor are like they're personal things. Like they happen to me, or you really can't get closer than that. So being rewarded off of that is naturally going to be closer to home than like being rewarded off of something that we built together, because it's a personal thing. It's like physically closer to home.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Got anything else, Max?
No, thanks so much.
Thanks for your
Thank
time.
See you in
you.
Halifax.
Appreciate
in like
it.
2 days.
Yeah. Sick.
Welcome back to the show. Thanks so much to Haviah Mighty for chatting with Max and I. Hope you guys enjoyed that, because we enjoyed sitting down with her. We're going to do some more topics here. A couple things. We're going to get to Kanye and his new record, Jesus is King. But before that, Shani, one of the reasons you are down and out is because you're sick. You have the flu. You think this has been happening for a week. Did you get your flu shot this season?
I was supposed to get it last Monday, but I was feeling ill on last Monday, and you're not supposed to get it if you're having any flu symptoms. So I was waiting until this Monday, which was yesterday, but that's when I actually got the full-blown flu. So I didn't have the time, unfortunately, and there's no real good excuse for it because I should have gotten it earlier.
Yeah. Max, do you have your flu shot?
No, I haven't got one forever, and Lauren always scolds me about it.
I know. I get scolded too. I haven't had one in a couple years.
Yeah. I just don't get sick very often, and I just like, it's fine. Everybody else is getting the flu shot. They'll take care of it. I don't know.
Erica, do you have your flu shot?
No.
When was the last time you got one?
I don't know if I've ever had one. I must have had one when I was like a wee child.
Oh, but you, like as an adult, you've never got one?
No, and I didn't as a kid either. I think I'm in one of those families where
Flu shot deniers.
yeah, I don't know. This might be
There's
controversial.
anti-vaxxers.
I have no idea if there's like
anti-flu shotters.
There probably is,
She
but
currently has polio?
yeah, could be. No, definitely vaccinated, but
Yeah.
yeah, no, I never did, and so
But yeah, this is PSA. Get your flu shots, everybody, so
Yeah.
you can take care of the rest of us.
Shane, do you normally get your flu shot?
Yeah, I do. I didn't when I was younger, and most people don't. And the common reason is people think that it's about themselves, like protecting themselves or themselves not getting sick. But really, it's about people who are elderly and babies and people who are immunocompromised. So that's like people like Alex, who has lupus, people like that who have weakened immune systems. So it's not even like you think, oh, why would I get it? If I get a little flu, boo-hoo, who cares? But it's about the people who can actually be gravely ill if they catch something from you.
This is a good
and that's
PSA
the reason
right now.
you should.
a compelling reason.
My wife has lupus, so I care more about it maybe than I would otherwise. It's effective 60 to 80% of the time. So, you know, you can look at that like, oh, so 40% of the time it's not. But still, 60% is saving a lot of people from having a very bad time and potentially a deadly time.
Well,
So.
for me, I mean, I do love to visit my 93-year-old grandmother, so this is a reason why I should do it. But that aside, it would be an excuse not to visit my friends' kids, because I'd be like, sorry guys,
Yeah.
didn't get my flu shot. Don't want to risk anybody here. So I won't be able to make that 1-year-old birthday party. Sorry, I wish I could. Haven't got my flu shot yet. I'm so sorry. I will be at the bar.
Well, I messaged, I was supposed to go on my friend Jared Diggs' podcast. He has like a video podcast. I was supposed to go on Monday. And I told him, oh, I'm such a dummy. I didn't get my flu shot. Now I'm sick. And he told me, your body needs to fight through stuff like the flu, and it gets better at it. If a flu shot temporarily fights off the flu bug, it will just find another different way to attack your body, ride it out, and just chill and let it pass. So this is a common thought of a lot of people who are like anti-vaxxers and against flu shots. But
I like
do
getting
find
medical advice from Jared Diggs. This is good.
yeah, but it's a common thought that people have, and you know, a lot of people are for vaccinations, but the flu one they don't necessarily believe in. my wife's an educator too, so I tend to listen to her, and the fact that she's a compromised immune system hits home a little harder. So that's just my advice to people. So
Are we? I don't even know this. Forgive my ignorance if it is, but is the flu shot considered like controversial on the same level of like vaccination or climate change or these things that people sort of don't believe?
No, I think it's just like recommended, but it's not as severe as a vaccination thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I don't know.
All right, let's talk about Kanye.
Kanye West just came out with a record, guys. Jesus is King. It's a gospel record officially. It is a religious charting record. That is its category. Now, I feel like I know Max is a lifelong Kanye fan.
Yep.
Shaney, I believe you're a Kanye fan as well.
yeah, I would say I'm a lifelong fan.
Yeah, I enjoy Kanye. I'm not super into him. I'm certainly not, whatever. In the last year and a half, I've found him fascinating, sort of bordering on ridiculous. But again, that's my opinion. People can have all sorts of opinions.
And to agree with that opinion. But Shane, you put it in the group. What are your thoughts on it?
But sorry, are we talking about fan of his music or fan of his personality?
We'll talk specifically about Jesus is King. Let's talk about the record
Yeah.
first, because that's what came out and that's what people are talking about. Do people, or actually more specifically, Shane, do you enjoy this record?
Yeah, well, just to clarify, I was always talking about his music. Like he'd probably be very annoying as a person.
Like as a hang? You're hanging at a bar?
Yeah, he goes through those fits of mania that are kind of embarrassing and unbearable. But as far as an album, I've never really listened to non-secular music before, and I enjoyed it. I thought it was going to be like kind of bad. Like I expected to be cringing the whole way through because I watched his interview on Letterman, and he seemed very unhinged. And I wonder if that was going to translate to his music, but I really do think he is a musical genius. So I enjoyed it.
Yeah, I definitely think he's a musical genius. And also, his last record, like he's been consistently great and innovative throughout his whole career. And I'd say this one, it might be, at least to my ears, and I've only listened to it about 3 or 4 times, his sort of like least focused record, and it seemed a little bit rushed. And it was missing like a couple of the bangers that I like in a Kanye record. But most times, a year after it comes out, I go, oh, wow, okay, he was sort of ahead of the curve on this. And there's something that's revealed in the record that I didn't recognize in the moment, but I appreciate later. It's another funny thing, though. It's like I'm not a religious person at all on any level. But when it comes to like the traditional black gospel music, I'm all about it. I could listen to black gospel music every day of the week and kind of even get into the message to a degree. Where if it was any other kind of like religious music espousing the same values or the same ideas, I'd roll my eyes and I'd turn it off immediately.
We're talking about delivery mechanism.
Yeah,
because sonically it's so pleasing and the melodies are so good
and the vibes are so good.
You're not even really thinking about the message necessarily because you're just like, I just like this delivery mechanism.
Or I'm giving the message more credence because it's delivered in such a great way. This is like whenever I have like friends that go to like like Canadian Protestant churches or Catholic churches. Like entertainment value fucking sucks. It's it's true. It's just like, yo, show me a decent time. If you want me to get on board, like the song's got to be better.
You're talking about the showbiz and religion.
Yeah, exactly. And then you go by, it's like these sort of southern black gospel churches, and they're having a fucking great time. And then I go, yeah, I believe in Jesus now for sure.
Because it's a party.
Yeah.
What about God rock bands like Creed or something like that? Do you think they deliver?
No. See, I don't like the tunes as much. I think it just kind of comes down. It's like, is it a hit or not?
Erica, what's your sort of lifelong relationship with Kanye been like? Are you a fan? Is he just sort of someone in pop culture that you sort of see out there, or are you like a consumer of him?
No, he's quite distant to me. I liked his stuff when it was more poppy, just because I'm not a huge hip hop fan in general. But since he started just like being manic and kind of mean and crazy, I've just like really not loved him at all. So like the last like few albums I haven't listened to, but like, yeah.
Okay, so we play this game, if I'm in a group of friends or with Lauren or whatever, and we'll be like, which of our friends is the first going to have a baby, or which is the first group of person in our friend group to get married, or get divorced. No, we never would talk about that. But but then another one is like, and we joke about this with each other a lot. It's like, what would happen if I got really religious? Like Lauren literally said that to me the other day. Like, if I got like really religious, like, what would you make of me, kind of thing? Would you be able to stick with me? And I'm thinking about our friend group. It's like, which one of our friends would be most likely to get like very, very into religion? And in a weird way, I think it's Shane.
Oh, wow.
And that's not. I feel like you have a very sort of intense personality where you can get really into stuff, Shane. It's like if you're into working out.
I agree.
You're really into working out, or like whatever it is, like you can get very taken by it. And I feel like you need to have that kind of personality, because you hear about people later in life becoming devoutly religious for whatever reason.
Sure.
And that always that fascinates me. And if you go through our friends, like it wouldn't be Dan, it wouldn't be you, it wouldn't be Greg, like it wouldn't be Peak, it wouldn't be Sean. I don't think. Like just go through the names. I think it's you. Would you agree, Shane?
100%. Yeah.
Shane's actually right now in church robes. Yeah, with some holy water on the. So anyway, so when you say you agree with Max's assessment of your personality type, do you feel like? I mean, you've talked about that you do believe in a God somewhat. Do you find that when you hear a record like this?
I did.
Well, we talked about. Sorry,
you were high on shrooms that time.
Yeah,
You were baptized, though, no?
you found a God. No,
I said I am God.
Yeah. No, we had a discussion like a couple months ago, sort of about what we tended to believe, and it was right around the time you got baptized, or we were trying to get baptized, and that guy pulled the knife on you. Yeah, I think they denied you. I can't remember exactly the story, but
No, what I was saying is I believe in no God just as much as I believe in a God. So I'm purely agnostic.
Did this Kanye record sway you at all in sort of finding a religion of some sort or a belief system?
No, I'm always right on the fence, but I do think I'm the type that I always kind of feel like I'm barely like clinging to sanity and can be like, nudged in one direction or the other. Not that to say if you believe in God, you're insane, but I mean like I'm very malleable and like in terms of like what I'm going to believe in for like the next 2 weeks.
Sorry, Shane?
Sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to say, I wanted to talk about like, what do you think of when, because now Kanye, he doesn't want people to have premarital sex or anything.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
And he's not going to be performing any of his older music live anymore. But don't you think when a guy like who's currently married and had like the best, most amazing sex in his life, all of a sudden tells you who's maybe like in your late teens to not have premarital sex? Don't you think that's a bit of a cop-out?
I think it's funny you say that. I actually have some notes. I think that this is the whole, like, the juxtaposition, sort of like the opposing forces of one of the reasons that religion can be a turnoff is it is so much built on do what I say, not as I do. Mm-hmm. And so, like, even someone like Kanye going on and on about God, like, he's promoting a record that is going to make him a lot of money. And I think there's such a fascinating relationship between the idea of servitude when it comes to, like, God or Jesus Christ or Christianity, and then also being like the most efficient capitalist you can be. You know what I mean? And the idea that it's like, so are you serving God or are you serving Kanye? And are you using God and religion as like a promotional tool? And by the way, like, do whatever society's a concert of games. Do what you want to do. I'm just fascinated by like the hypocrisy of it, the people that sort of like buy it. But specifically to this premarital sex thing, it's so easy to sort of tell people, like, you need to get on this tip, man. You got to start living right. But like you said, Shane, he's probably already done every insane, hedonistic, fun, fucking awesome thing you could do. So he's like, no. Listen to me, man. That's not where it's at. It's like, well, maybe I kind of want to find out.
Yeah, can I try?
That looks pretty fun. Maybe I'll go do a few of those things and then I'll make my mind up.
Mm-hmm. Well, because every guy who's married wishes everyone would stop having premarital sex. You know what I mean? Because you get jealous otherwise of your buddies.
So it's a jealousy thing more than sort of a religious thing for Kanye.
Yeah, exactly. Because you always want your friends to be doing the same thing you're doing, right? What is your favorite song on the album, Max?
Ooh, okay. I have to pull up I gotta check it. 1 second.
There was a big thing on Twitter that everybody says that "Follow God" is the big banger, the sample of.
See, I disagree with that.
Yeah, I mean, that's just whatever. I did listen to the record all the way through once for this podcast because I'm dedicated to this podcast.
I kind of like the last tune. The second last tune. Uses Gospel, the sax solo with Kenny G. I know it's sort of like a...
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool.
Shit, man. Kenny G's on this record?
Yeah, it's like a wailing sax solo for like 3 minutes. It's
Dang,
awesome.
dude.
Yeah.
Shane,
It's
do you
awesome.
agree that's the track?
No, I think Water is Water is the second best song. Then God Is, which happens right after Water, and then Hands On is the song Max's. Oh no, sorry. Then Use the Gospel, which is the song you're talking about, right, with the saxophone.
Yeah.
But God Is. I have a feeling that song is going to be in like every movie trailer in the next year. The second half, when that beat starts, it lends itself so much to visuals.
Ooh.
That's my prediction. I'm not saying this recording is going to be used, but if it is, mark my words.
Interesting. Another classic Kanye zig while everyone else is zagging. It's like, like pop culture is like so sexualized, and the fact he's going the opposite direction is a very Kanye
But
move.
it's because he's already done it.
I know.
Like, it would be more zigging while everyone's zagging if he had never done it. But he's done it, and so now that's old for him.
Yeah.
Do you think that Kanye is just constantly thinking with marketing brain? Or do you think he believes what he's doing? Or do you think it's a mix of all of that? Guys,
It's a mix.
Yeah, like he presents himself as a man of like extreme conviction, but there's so much contradiction with all of these things. You know what I mean? Like even like him sort of like being a man of God and Christianity and the sort of the ethics of that outlook are like servitude and the idea of like helping your fellow man. But then it's like he supports
relinquishing ego and everything
Yeah.
and like being selfless. He's the complete opposite.
Or unless he's using it like the way that other sort of like fake Christians or religious people use it, which is kind of as just an identifying factor because there's a whole base out there that will go, yeah, man, like he's speaking for us now. I don't know. Or is he just being alternative to what pop culture is? Like Max said, it's so super sexualized. People have sort of lost God in their lives in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I don't know what his like big picture angle on it is, but I imagine there's something that he has cooking or he's thought about, because that's what I really admire about Kanye. He is kind of a visionary in terms of the way he like conceives of like an entire project. And the one anecdote that really sticks out is he was talking about his I think it was the Yeezus tour. One of the tours more recently where he had the floating stage that went over.
I went to one of those shows.
And basically, he said, I want every seat in here to be a premium price seat. So I don't want anybody to be able to say, I was at the back, I'm going to pay less for it. Okay, how do we do that? Let's get a floating stage. It'll go everywhere, so everybody has to pay the same ticket price. And number two, like I want this thing to look incredible on Instagram. I know everybody has a camera on their phone. I just want everybody to be posting at the show. So the stage was crazy. And also it's like, I'm kind of like a godlike figure, so I want to hover over everybody. And like those three check boxes were achieved. And it was one of the most like memorable tours ever. And every other act in hip hop and in pop culture goes, fuck, Kanye did it again. And it was because he thought of like these very big picture ideas and he got somebody to execute them for it.
Quick question, Max. Mm-hmm. You have a chance to work on the Kanye West record. Are you very excited that you're going to collab with Kanye?
Oh, so excited.
When he tells you, I'll work with you only if you stop having premarital sex, what do you do?
Yeah, I say yes and then I lie about it.
You should have said you get on one knee immediately.
And Mary Lauren.
Oh, yeah, that could work too.